Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join this webcast. Today we'll start out with speaker introductions, followed by some background on Auritas. Then we'll take a deep dive into data management solutions with SAP, OpenText, and Auritas. Now let's move on and talk about today's technical speakers, Deepak Sood and Garth Despain. Deepak Sood has been a data archiving subject matter expert for nearly 2 decades. He has presented on numerous topics at several SAP events and regularly contributes his expertise to enterprise business leaders. In his capacity as a Chief Technology Officer for Auritas, Deepak leads the organization's most complex undertakings and spearheads digital transformation initiatives with his ability to exceed expectations and deliver highly effective data management solutions. Our second presenter, Garth Despain, is part of SAP's Database and Data Management Center of Excellence, focused on SAP's Enterprise Information Management Solutions portfolio that includes data quality and governance, content and lifecycle management, and business process optimization solutions. He advises SAP customers on how to integrate SAP data and content in context of business processes and strategies for retention and lifecycle management, especially as SAP customers prepare to migrate to S/4HANA. Now that you know about today's presenters, allow me to briefly review some information about Auritas for our first-time guests. Our organization was founded in 2003, and we are headquartered in sunny Orlando, Florida. With more than 100 team members, we have resources spread throughout the country, and we specialize in end-to-end solutions for SAP HANA Analytics, information lifecycle management, and enterprise content management. Auritas's collaborative approach and unique level of insight has earned us a reputation as a trusted advisor with a number of large enterprise clients, and we continue to partner with other major thought leaders in the ERP ecosystem, including SAP, OpenText, and Dell EMC. As you can see here, there are 4 phases involved in the lifecycle of enterprise information. Those phases are create, consume, archive, and dispose. At any given moment, your data is in one of these phases, and Auritas provides specialized solutions for each phase of the life cycle. But what truly differentiates our approach is Auritas's digital transformation framework. As you can see here, our framework delivers solutions for each of the life cycle phases. We use this to help clients deliver compelling brand experiences, drive process improvement initiatives, and reimagine business models to elevate operational efficiency. Now let me turn this over to Deepak so that he can review our survey responses and discuss what you've all tuned in for. Deepak?
Thank you, Julian. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending this webcast. And we have been doing this exercise where we share who your peers are and who your audience is, and with the same token, how we are going to be covering this content so that we can address all of the requirements of different folks as they attended the webcast or as they signed up for this webcast. You know, what they want to see from this delivery. So the version we are in, I was kind of really surprised to see the attendees out here that 23% of our attendees right now are on S/4HANA, and the rest are on Business Suites or RP or lower version. But you know, as we see out here, the attendance level or the companies or the organizations who are running S4 are gradually increasing, and this is one of our highest attendees for those of you who have S/4HANA implemented in their environment. And of course, I cannot ignore the fact that still a good number of our SAP ecosystem customers are running ECC functionality in their system. The database size, majority of you have a database footprint over 5 terabytes, and you know, and that behooves you to look into different kind of initiatives, data management initiatives, whether it is data archiving, whether it is nearlining, or for that matter, whether you are doing data aging. And it will be true even for organizations who have a smaller footprint, you know, just between 1 to 5 terabytes or less than a terabyte, because again, based on the volume of data you have procured your hardware, and the hardware will have its own limitations of how far it can provide you with a productive, valuable response time, after which it says no, the configuration or the sizing that you have done needs to be reevaluated out here. We also asked if you are using any document management platform. And the reason for that was that as you build a strategy, and I'm going to talk in the latter part of this presentation that how data and document are blending together, and you want to have these two platforms put together to make sure that you have your business processes effectively managed. We found about 46% of you are using OpenText in your environment. 41% are using or not using any kind of solution or chose not to tell us what solution they are using. We have about 11% of the attendees out here running SAP Content Server, and about 2% of you are running Documentum in your organization. So this is the big paradigm that you're looking at, and this is the thing that you will find that companies are trying to put their arms around. How can you effectively manage content? Content can be put into two silos, structured and unstructured. Structured being anything coming out of SAP, any kind of information stored into the tables and indexes and all. And unstructured, basically the name tells it all. You could have documents, you could have PDFs. There is not necessarily a defined structure that you want to link that information with. But the valuable piece in both of those environments is how can you link those two things together and get a value prop out of that. And this webcast is primarily focused in that situation that we have an organization, a leading organization who manages the structured content like no other organization, namely SAP. And we have OpenText out here who is managing all kind of unstructured content, and we have Auritas out here who is a partner and manages both of those things together, and we will provide you with an insight how it can be done. With that said, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Garth, and he's going to explain some of the details in the following slides. Garth?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Deepak, and hello, everyone. And to the point of managing unstructured document content and structured data in a unified environment really speaks to the opportunity from creating business value and delivering performance in business process to be able to integrate that information and use it in a way that helps drive the objectives of the business, whether that's being able to have better analytics and reporting, making decisions more quickly, being able to respond to changes in the marketplace, and being agile in terms of providing that responsiveness or improving operational efficiency and making those business processes run faster and with fewer steps. These are the opportunities that are available from an SAP perspective when we can manage the data in the database and manage the content that supports that transactional record in a unified format. So at any time, you've got trusted, complete, and relevant information that you can deliver to your business users. Now, when you look at achieving this type of efficiency, this is important because as you look at various business processes and how to digitally transform the way the business runs, there are really 4 areas that need to be considered. The first of these is the business process level. As we're interacting with business owners, it's important to understand how those workflows are handled and the types of data that they're managing, and to be able to control that from a master data perspective that'll improve accuracy of the analytics and reporting, as well as streamlining and getting better uniformity in data entry at the business application level. Each one of those data objects within the SAP database supporting those business processes is supported by one or many different content types. So when you think about document content that supports a business process, there may be contracts or invoices or specifications or design documents or standard operating procedures that support those business processes that need to be managed in context of that business process so that you can deliver the right information to the right person at the right time to help them execute the activities within that business process. Now, over time, it's also important to consider how to manage the life cycle of the data and documents. And so many times there's a need to incorporate documents from existing systems or to bring those data objects and documents in from acquired systems when there's M&A activity, when systems are acquired. And so being able to aggregate and bring that content together and make it useful to everyone that's participating in those business processes is a key opportunity that we've got by using the SAP solutions with OpenText solutions and the expertise that Auritas brings to be able to integrate across the business process, the data, the content, and the life cycle of that information. So the solutions from an enterprise information management perspective span the integration of data that you see here on the left of the picture that we're showing online, to improving and integrating data quality and doing master data governance, and associating and managing content in context of the business process, and managing the life cycle and having good governance on data and documents throughout that process. And then supporting business applications so that that information can be digitized, handled in electronic format, efficiently distributed to the devices and business applications that people use to collaborate or perform their tasks as a part of the business processes that are critical to the organization. So part of this is being able to drive greater decision efficacy. In other words, how do we get the right information so that good decisions are being made? How do we present a 360-degree view of all relevant data and documents so that people can make informed decisions? And then how do we track and control that so that we can comply with regulatory requirements as well as keep that information available when necessary for audit or legal retention purposes? So this is the solution strategy then for driving into the capabilities that we've been discussing. And a big part of the unstructured document management piece of this is leveraging the partnership between SAP and OpenText, where the SAP databases and business application environment is driving the process and managing the data that's associated with those business processes, while OpenText manages the unstructured document content. But because of the deep integration that exists between SAP and OpenText, that content can be managed in context of the business process. So it's the union of delivering that content in context of the process that brings value to running those business processes more efficiently, to being able to classify and organize information in a way that the right people can access that easily at the right time to accomplish their business tasks, and to be able to run a faster cycle time on the business processes that we're executing by having that tight integration between the data and document content that supports it. You'll see here on the slide some points about the solution extension relationship that exists between OpenText and SAP. And these solutions that are offered as a part of SAP's Enterprise Information Management portfolio go through a premium quality certification process so that they are sold and supported as though they were SAP products. They fall under the customer's SAP maintenance and support agreement, and SAP provides that support and maintenance on those products as a part of a unified release strategy and roadmap for managing enterprise information. Now we'll talk more about these solutions here in just a minute, but the idea is that as you look at delivering content in context of a business process, there are ways to automate the content-dependent aspects of that business process, which helps reduce document management costs. It helps lower search and discovery costs. It helps create automation in those business processes so that they can run more efficiently. When you look at integrating content in context of business applications, there's collaboration capability that exists in the OpenText solution extensions that helps bring the right people and content together into collaborative workspaces that helps accelerate business decisions and brings the right information to the right people at the right time. It helps keep track of version control and revision history so that you've always got the latest version of the information. It helps protect the content so that even though there's a unified content repository that can span enterprise business processes and different departments and different divisions. There's ways to secure and protect that content so that information can be protected so that only the right people see the information that's appropriate for the business processes that they participate in. And then finally, with the governance layer, we'll spend quite a bit more time talking about this, but there's a way to improve compliance, to cost effectively manage that information over time, and to be able to store it in a location that's both cost effective as well as accessible for ongoing purposes. And then at some point in the future, delete that information according to policy so that it doesn't exist forever, so that you can comply with relevant regulations and be able to optimize your production database while still preserving access to archived data and documents that need to be retrieved in the future to support those various business process areas. So that's the context for what we're going to be discussing today, and having content in context of process, being able to manage both data and documents in a unified way for the life cycle of that information. So with that overview, Deepak, I'll turn it back to you to go down into some detail about how customers use these solutions to improve their operations.
Thank you, Gaurav. And as we, you have seen the content and the agenda of our presentation. So one of the things that we wanted to cover, and many a times you will find it is comfortably ignored as you are moving on to the newer platform, is how do we handle the platform, the information that is left behind? How do we make sure that we are covering the risks that are mitigating the risks that might be there, because you are keeping some data on some servers running in some corner of your data center, and you say, well, it's running, I don't have to worry about it. But ultimately, if you end up starting to see that you're looking at eBay to find out the parts for that particular solution or a particular system to keep it running, well, there is a problem. And rather than getting into that zone, or you want to find out how and why and what is the process behind that, you can effectively decommission those platforms. So why exactly are we creating these platforms? What are the drivers behind? Well, upgrades. You will find that a good number of S4 implementations, and including the ones, the folks who are attending today, in the beginning were all greenfield implementations. Well, what is greenfield? Greenfield is more towards suggesting that, well, let's start fresh and let's move our master data onto the new platform. Let's move all our open records, whether it is POs and invoices and all, but we will keep the system running for historical access. But nobody talks about the fact that how long, and what is the end of life of those systems. And I was, even this week, I was with an organization visiting for a small time, and they have in excess of 300 platforms running, just legacy data. And when we tried to do an analysis and find out what is it happening out there, we found out that about a good 70 systems did not even have owners, meaning they did not know who owns that system. They did not know who is accessing that system. And we were wondering, and as we were talking to them, that does it even make sense to keep them running? Well, that's still in the making, but those are some of the things that is happening. And you will find out here that as you are acquiring new platforms, as you are divesting your current companies, and other drivers are creating the system decommissioning platforms and the requirement for it. Now, one of the things that I want to emphasize always around here as we do decommissioning projects using SAP solution suites, or for that matter, OpenText product solution suites, that, and this is more of a lessons learned also, that, how exactly should you be looking at it? Many a times you will go to and talk to your users and say, this is a legacy platform, and if this platform goes away, what kind of information are you looking at to access if let's say if there's a legacy SAP system going away? Well, the answer many times is going to come back saying, well, you know what, I want access to transaction code ME23N. I want to see my purchase orders, and I click on this tab and see the details out there. In essence, what is it that you're looking at? You're looking at users telling you, I want to see this transaction, the same look and feel, the content where it comes on the right-hand side top out there. If you want to do system decommissioning, that's a piece, that's an area that goes into comfort zone. This is how I'm used to. But if you really want to decommission a platform, you have to move onto the left side of the screen where you say, I am going to provide you with that information. I cannot promise you I can show you the field at the exact same location, but the fact that you have to reply to that information, whether it comes from a report, whether it comes from an output, that's more related towards productivity than comfort. And I find that, especially in decommissioning projects, you have to emphasize a lot more on the fact that productivity trumps over comfort. I'm used to it. I have a user training. For sure, you want to mitigate the training, but that piece does come into play out there. But then again, let's look at some other drivers. Why do companies want to make sure that they could decommission the system but have access to the content out there? Here are some things that we have been told working at different organizations, and again, their rankings might be different for you. Their rankings of importance or when and how they want to implement might be different for your organization, but they're quite relevant for all the organizations who are looking into this initiative, whether it is continued audit compliance, functional continuation for accessing historical data, risk assessment, or the seamless access to the information, which are more specific to the industries and all, relationship to other systems. And that becomes a very important piece when you're looking at the system decommissioning. And last but not the least, if you are doing system decommissioning, you're moving from one platform to another, are you going to take the benefit of using this initiative to do retention management, meaning tagging the data? This is a one-time effort that, one-time chance or, opportunity you're going to get to say, well, I have 10 years worth of data. Let's compartmentalize that data as I'm moving to a decommissioned platform and make sure I start removing the data as the retention needs of that data goes away. I am finding that this is, as we talked about, that this slide is representing the companies who are deploying S/4HANA. You're finding in this screen that there is a greenfield deployment right on the top where the majority of the implementations are happening, but companies will see a lot of benefit if they move towards a brownfield implementation. A brownfield implementation is that I have done a lot of work configuring my ECC system the way it is. Now, as I move towards S4, do I need to now redo the whole exercise from point zero? Or can I borrow that configuration and say, let me move that? So the ultimate goal, and SAP is making and has made a lot of effort and has been quite successful in, SLT transformation, SLT services, replication servers, and the services around it, whereby now you can pick your ECC platform and directly move your customizing your configs and the data at the same time onto the S4 platform. But with the same token, there might be some configs you say, well, they are redundant. I built that with my Z tables and Y tables, and I do not want to bring that onto the new platform. Why? Because I get that functionality out of the box. In that case, you are moving some of those components only, and that's called the black field implementation. As I move these slides, the black became yellow out here, so please ignore that part. It is a black field implementation, and which is that you move some of the components as on need basis out here. And as you can see out here, where exactly the risks are for implementing the solution from a technical perspective, as well as from an overall customer's risk perspective. Well, how does it come in the whole data management techniques? If you're doing greenfield, if you're creating a new environment, do you need to create or do any archiving onto your existing SAP platform? Probably not, because you cannot move those archive files onto the new platform. So in that case, your driver should be system decommissioning. However, if you're moving towards brownfield implementation, data archiving and nearlining becomes a very critical aspect of you to move the whole system efficiently out there. And in Blackfield, it will be a combination of both data archiving, nearlining, and decommissioning all coming together. So, okay, well, here's the bigger piece. Why is it becoming more and more important? Why do we have to look into it into a lot more granular details right now? As your infrastructure is getting older, you can acquire new hardware, but when it is a legacy platform, the acquisition part of that hardware bit stops. You might think of saying, well, I'm going to move that system on cloud, maybe because it's cheaper, but you're not going to say, hey, it's my legacy platform, let me buy a new server for it and put that system out there. It rarely happens. So what is happening? Your hardware is giving issues. You're out of license, or your OS is not supported anymore. Your DB is not supported anymore, and chances are that even your application is not being paid off any further because it's a legacy platform. On the top of it, the talent pool, the folks who know how to run that application, they are retiring too, or they are moving to greener pastures and saying, well, it's okay, I move on from that technology. It creates an inherent risk whereby if you really need that information for any of your compliance, well, you are putting yourself at risk. Compliance risk. If you have not disposed the data that is historical, that data can become potentially toxic. You have seen now examples from DuPont, from other organizations who paid, really large sum of money just because they kept data longer than what they were supposed to keep. And of course, as the new age technology is coming, machine learning, predictive analytics, and deep learning, you would like to take benefit of the data or the information you have gathered over the years, and these legacy platforms just cannot support you for doing or addressing those initiatives. So if you have to extract that data, what is it that you're looking to extract? The two pieces that you would extract almost all the time is your transactional data, all your transactional posting that you have entered in that system, and your master data. Now, as you have moved on to another platform, you might have already transformed the master data onto the new platform, but for you to extract transactional and master data will make sure that you are able to do any kind of reporting onto that information as you move forward from the new decommissioned system. Or the system that has been created from doing the decommissioning of the existing system. Metadata about logs, how did you configure the systems, supporting information, documents, blobs, and all. That might not be all being taken onto the new platform. That would be a partial decision depending upon how you have configured your platform. So if you want to make things simple, those are the 4 areas you're looking at, and those are the things you want to look into. And, you will find that decommissioning is not limited to a particular ERP platform. You will find that you have things running on all of those mainframes, or even sometimes you have built your custom Excel-based applications and also. Those are all the areas that you want to consider. And as you pick or build a solution for doing decommissioning, you're looking at different technologies, different functions that are available to you that you can take benefit from. In other terms, if you have, let's for our discussion, if you have about 100 legacy platforms, well, and you intend to decommission them, would you rather create 10 or 15 different applications to decommission those 100 platforms? Possibly not. It still creates a lot of complexity. But again, this with the same token, would you just create one platform, one application to address your requirements? I think that is your ideal desire to do it, but the practicality of that happening is quite rare. Why? Because data and documents are still quite diverse. You will find that you will end up picking a combination of platforms, combination of functionality to address your needs, even with the tools that you're looking at, whether it is cloud, whether it is Hadoop-based platforms and the different third-party components. You will find that all of those functions will address your needs, but it is going to be a combination. It is not going to be one simple solution addressing all of your requirements across different platforms. So what you're looking at on this screen is the completion compatibility matrix. we have over 15 different options that you might be looking at for doing system decommissioning. And there are some standard tools, there are some tools from OpenText out here, there are some tools from SAP, naming SAP ILM. And again, we try to put them into a quadrant to show how the implementation complexity and the solution completeness matters in putting all of these solutions together. But how is it important for you specifically? You as a customer, if you're driving onto this initiative, how can SAP and OpenText solution be relevant for you, and how do you pick the right solution out here? Here is an example. Build a matrix. Compare the featured functions of all of those solutions. Stack them against each other, and very quickly, that matrix will tell you what platform or what solution or combination of solutions will address all of your needs within your organization. So this is something that we do day in, day out. We compare, we rank them, and again, we rank them also based on your considerations, your compliance requirements and all. And once you have done that, you will find that, okay, I'm going to use a combination of, ILM, for example, out here, and static snapshot, and that should address all of my needs. And right away now, you can move forward with the decision that you have done. Here is an example that we have built a data connection platform as part of our third-party storage platform also, that we can collect that information from different environments, and it is a Hadoop-based platform whereby we can store all your content and manage those systems. Now, does that mean it stays in the SAP ecosystem? Absolutely. How? SAP has a product. SAP acquired a company last year called Altiscale. And it's a Hadoop-based platform whereby you can migrate all your content and have access to that decommissioned content right in the screen. And also, if you want to access it from within SAP solutions, you can use tools like Vora and all and access all those details also. Here is an example of a retired platform whereby you want to see your legacy purchase orders. You have the ability to see that. You want to see your legacy FI, order to cash, procure to pay data. You have ability to see all of those details, and this information comes right off the platform, like a Hadoop platform. And again, if you want to see more details around it, I'll be happy to provide that to you in a separate conversation. But for our discussion out here, I wanted to showcase those details. Moving on to another important and a diverse platform out here. But now that we have talked about decommissioning, well, in my organization, I have data and documents. How do I effectively manage that using the OpenText and SAP product suites out there? So here is one slide that that many times I emphasize that what is your ultimate goal? What are organizations looking at to manage the functionality? We have all these applications that we use day in and day out. You have SAP ECC, S4, SRM, Portal, mobile platforms. We have SharePoint, and we have your emails and all. And you will find many a times all of those platforms are creating documents, data. You are copying it from from your email, putting it into Windows Explorer, and from Windows Explorer, you are going into maybe storing it into a SharePoint and then linking it into SAP. Well, I mean, it is a way of doing it, but imagine in this process how much duplicate information, replication of information you have done. Ideal solution, or the idea that you want to have access to the content, the same content from different applications out here is what you want to achieve. You want to see data, whether it is from SAP, whether it is from Portal, or whether it is from OpenText, you should have access to the same data. And with the same token, once you created a document, these exact same documents with notes and annotations and information being added to it should be accessible from all those different linked platforms. It's not difficult. You can do it. And now these tools and functionalities are available that will simplify this process and make it very, very effective. And that's what it is, that how do you mix the content, the context, and create a huge value prop out here, whether it is through productivity, whether it is with better engagement of your users from different platforms out there, getting an insight out here from all kind of analytics out here, and of course, we cannot ignore the fact that you have retention compliance, and if you want to do compliance and destroy data and documents, now you have the ability to holistically do that all across the different platforms. So quickly looking at how all those things come together. When we talk about SAP, structured information, if you want to do that, the first thing that you start with is data archiving. And data archiving will take data out of your core ECC platform, SRM platform, BW platform, S4 platform. It will create an archive file, and you can store this information onto a content server solution like OpenText. Keeping in mind that if your users, hopefully it's not using the same old desktop and they have graduated to using a laptop or a two-in-one tablet, but they view this information, it really doesn't matter where it is coming from. They have access to the same transaction code from query, from web-based transactions, or from your SAP transactions. And again, in the background, if it is coming from OpenText, this functionality is available to you seamlessly. How does it work? The SAP system on the top layer connects to your SAP application layer, and this application layer has a direct connection through archive link into OpenText. So whatever is the request being made from the presentation layer out here will be available to you or to your users seamlessly all across platforms. And not only that this is addressing your need for accessing data, it addresses your need for both data and documents. So when you're doing archiving, you're looking at archiving objects. In this case, you're looking at financial documents, and you're looking at special ledger data. So these are all technical names for different archiving objects. I wanted to showcase you that you can do these kind of analysis. And this analysis is in reality showing you that if you implement this object, you can reduce your database footprint by 40 gigs or maybe 40 terabytes and all. This example is talking about 40 gigabytes of reducing a footprint by a single archiving object. Now imagine that you had indexes on the top, the duplication of the data and all. Your ROI is going to be really, really strong on implementing these solutions, but this is what you do when you implement a data archiving solution. And then let's look at the documents out here. So I mentioned that if you do archiving the data, you should still have seamless access to the documents. But if you have to manage the documents and you say that I have a purchase order and I want to manage my, and see the purchase order that I sent to my vendor. But then again, in your day-to-day business processes, you find out that, look, I have a purchase order and I sent it to the vendor and I'm initiating that process, but do I know that if vendor has done its full compliance with making sure that they have sent all the contractual documents, they have updated their payment terms, have we incorporated the functions around dynamic discounts and things like that? Well, what is happening is that you are looking at a particular business function, purchase order, but you are also looking at the linked business functions around tasks, around the linked data, around people who are going to do that function. So in essence, it is not about a document or a transaction. It's about a business process that relates to multiple people, multiple tasks, multiple business processes, and that is called the concept of a business workspace. You want to address that in this paradigm, whether you are accessing data, whether you are accessing documents, or whether you are linking data and documents together out here. So to address that, if you use the OpenText solution, you have your data archiving being done out here, you have your documents being stored out here, but then there's a product from OpenText called Extended ECM. What it does out here is, not only it provides you seamless access to the data and documents, but it captures the metadata of the information from SAP. See, early on, I showed you a screen where I said, you know what? Applications should be facilitating to provide you access to the information, but it doesn't really matter from where you access what kind of information. Extended ECM now lets you see the purchase order, the data, as well as the document outside the SAP GUI. You can see it in a browser. You can see it in their mobile platform. And not only that, you can do records management on it. So this is the big picture that you're looking at using the extended ECM functionality from OpenText. And not only that, I wanted to showcase you that here are all the different functions that are available that you can implement within the OpenText product suite. Here are the things that you're looking at from invoice management to invoice capture center to employee file management. That adds a lot of value. And not only at that, digital asset management, if you're using solution around web content management, or for that matter, e-commerce solution like omnichannel solution like Hybris, and all, how it can integrate all around. There's another product from SAP called ILM, SAP ILM, which does retention management and system decommissioning, as we talked about. But then there is a storage solution provided by SAP called SAP IQ. A very important, a very valuable solution, especially as you are moving towards a platform like S4 or BW4 HANA. If you are doing nearlining, this IQ solution is the turnkey solution from SAP, and that provides you with an ability to tier your data into multiple staging layers, and you are able to store all of that content out here. Not only that, if you are using ECC solution or S4 and you want to migrate your indexes for accessing the archiving content, in the archive information system, and I can tell you more details once, if somebody wants to look at what exactly this information is, you can migrate those archive infrastructures onto IQ solution also. This is a very, very strong product. As a matter of fact, if you have an SAP runtime license, HANA runtime license, IQ solution, IQ license comes along with that for you, because SAP feels so strongly about the solution that you want to incorporate that into your whole implementation. So what is the overall benefit that you're looking at? You're looking at better filing, harnessing all the features of SAP, but not only that, you are now able to have an integration between data and documents and having seamless access to it, and you have a centralized access of all of that information. No matter where you're looking at, whether it is SAP GUI, Fury app, OpenText browser, even SharePoint. So I'm going to extend this thought. How does it all come together? So this is what you're looking at as a solution. The same content being managed at the bottom. So there are functions you're looking at: records management, archive center, social media feed connector, smart UI, and all. This is the backbone. This is where you're storing the content. This is the application layer, where you are connecting with multiple systems, APIs, and all. By the way, what you're looking at as an API, it tells you that you have the ability, the flexibility to connect to that platforms. But this is the important piece. Any one single document stored out here can be accessed from SAP, can be accessed from SharePoint, SuccessFactors, or for that matter, any other browser-based functionality. And if you want to build your own platforms that are not listed out here to connect to, you have the ability to do so because there are open APIs available for you. This has changed in a big way how organizations are implementing their solutions, because now they are finding that I can manage everything with my SAP platform and OpenText platform running in parallel, and you do not need any other solution to manage the content around it. Now, if you have Office suites, if you have SharePoint, even that content can be stored into OpenText in the background, because the front end is going to remain exactly the same. And this is what you find, that ultimately you are able to benefit from all of those things from different angles, from collaborations, from records management. I'm going to touch on to records management a little bit more in the slides coming through, but this is the big picture you're looking at, whereby you have assimilated the content between the structured and the unstructured information. And here is a sample use case scenario you're looking at, whereby you can now create a record has supporting information out here in extended ECM, add some more details on the top, link the documents out here, and all of that information comes seamlessly to you. It doesn't matter where the user is logged on to through single sign-on, whether it is SAP or extended ECM, you are able to perform all of your functions seamlessly, no matter what application you are using. Not only that, now here is the big picture. We talked about capturing this information from different areas, different applications, right on the top. And then you capture, you process, you store it in a way that is, accessible in any shape or format. You want to keep it for some time in your system as it is getting historical. If there is any kind of legal disputes or legal holds coming or some other situation coming, you should have the ability to do an e-discovery and find the document and put them on hold. Ultimately, if you want to even archive them, not only for extended, short period of time, but for extended period of time, you have the ability to do so. But based on your retention policy, you should be able to dispose those documents. And it does not matter what storage solution you're using in the background, it should work seamlessly across different platforms. You are able to do that using the records management functionality and SAP's ILM functionality coming together. This will, if you have that combination all put together, this will really help you, mitigate the legacy systems that keep on getting created for different organizations. Why? Because now you have built a process whereby historical information keeps on going away and you keep all your systems in a very healthy state. So what you're looking at out here is the same process, and you are able to manage both data and documents together. Why is it becoming so much more important and so much more relevant? For those of you attending this webcast, we know that a good amount of you are organizations who are global organizations. And now you have seen that even companies like Google are not spared, and they are paying exorbitant amount in billions for, for not addressing the requirements around data protection. And there is a new guideline that is coming, but this is not a new guideline, it has come, but now the time is coming that it is going to be implemented, and there are going to be lots and lots of organizations who are going to be challenged to do compliance with these requirements. And these regulations are impacting customers who have SAP systems and other environments. So many times early on we thought that, hey, SAP deals with enterprise systems. We are only dealing with vendors out here and customers, and those are all corporations. EU data protection doesn't relate to us. Not true. When you're going to do the e-discovery, you will find out you are keeping certain sensitive information that EU regulation mandates you. GDPR regulations mandate you to dispose, and if you do not have a control on what you have, how are you going to know what you're going to dispose? And that information is stored both on data, namely SAP system, and on documents. Hopefully that you are having a platform, simplistic platform, and you have to worry about two platforms only, SAP and OpenText. If you have multiple platforms in this whole affair, you have to look into those pieces, but you will find that simplicity of your architecture and having a really enterprise-based platform to address all of those needs will make your compliance a lot more easy out here. And we have some solutions out there that can address those needs too. But the big picture that I'm trying to talk about here is that there is always a constant balance between managing structured and unstructured content. How do you do it? What are the things you need to look into? Is being listed out here, but we can help you provide all these details and gotchas, but the technology is now available for you. So, many times I'm being asked, like, look, I'm having this third-party product. I'm using it for, storing the content. Well, it's cheaper, and I'm going to use it. But why is OpenText better? Or why is it that I have to use a platform that can address my needs in a holistic fashion? All I can say out here is these four areas. the duplication of effort. If you do not have a platform that can address the requirements across different applications, well, you might feel that you have a short-term gain, but very quickly you will find loss of productivity. You have even paying, you will be paying more money to do the migration a year or 2 years down the road, and ROI will have a totally different meaning for you. It is not going to be return on investment. It will transition into risk of indictment. And of course, you will always have a challenge of managing a siloed-based content. So, what I am suggesting out here is that as you are into this ecosystem, trying to look into how you are able to put all those functions together and simplify your platform, even whether you are using a cloud-based functionality. These solutions do support SAP Cloud, whether it is, standard, enterprise cloud, private cloud, the whole functionality is able to, support both SAP and OpenText Cloud and other certified solutions. We are finding a good number of companies are deploying these solutions in a hybrid-based deployment, meaning we are going through one project whereby the client says, you know what, I am still not sold on the idea of cloud 100%, but I would like to leverage cloud for doing something. And something that they coined up with was that I'll have an on-premise deployment of my solution, but I'm going to use cloud for doing my DR. So if something happens, my cloud deployment can be utilized or can be, take benefit of for my disaster recovery. And it's a very good solution or very good thought process, but now you can put it all into practice. Both SAP and OpenText solution can be utilized, can be deployed in these kind of hybrid deployments. One question I'm being asked many a times that, look, what is it that I'm looking at? What is the roadmap? Where exactly is this whole functionality going? And now the electric cars are coming, the Hyperloop is coming, and we are transitioning with deep learning and AI coming along. What is happening with data and documents? Well, what I'm seeing out here, and many times looking at companies, what they are trying to do with that, I'm finding that that differentiation is slowly fizzling out. You will find that data and documents are going to merge. You have still some years to go before it happens, but it is coming along out there. XML was one big effort made to address those needs, but it is still ways to go. But it is coming out there. You are finding that companies are saying, you know what, for my valuable insights out there, I want to do text mining. I want to do OCR out there. I would like to do language processing and pick up the content and present it in multi-languages out here. Or for that matter, if I'm storing audio and video content, I want to do some analytics on it. So all those things are coming, and these solutions like SAP, like OpenText, whether you are storing it onto on-premise or cloud, are able to address all of those needs. And of course, cloud and mobility are an important piece in how this whole solution is coming together. So that was the presentation around how you want to address your data, your documents, and also your decommissioning needs. I hope it was valuable and have provided some valuable insights.